Hi folks, it's Coach Kelvin here from the We Run Virtual Run Club, and We Run coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this little video, we're going to start to bring to an end the series on training zones, and we've been predominantly focusing on heart rate training zones. I'm going to do a couple of videos off the back of these, but I am going to sort of pause for a while and see if there's any questions and allow people to experiment with what we've done so far. So if you've been following along in the series, you'll realise that training zones and setting training zones to heart rate is a fairly simple task, but it requires a little bit of time. It's not something that we can just do. Quite a lot of people just think that we can take like a number minus our age and then just kind of split that as, take that as max heart rate and then just split that up into evenly sized zones. And as you've realised by now, it's not quite that simple. So once you've got your zones set, as long as they're somewhere near, the most important thing is how you use them. So how much time we spend in each zone. And we go back to this time and time again that it's been proved that 80% of our training should be below lactate threshold and 20% should be above lactate threshold. What we've got to remember there, that is over a 12-month period. So sometimes a runner might be 95.5 and other times a runner might be 50-50, depending on the event that they're training for. And also, the 80% that's below lactate threshold is usually split about 50-50 into zone 1 and zone 2. A runner with better conditioning would do more in zone 1 and less in zone 2, and a less well-conditioned runner would do more in zone 2 and less in zone 1. The explanation of why that is in my previous video. Then, we might do about 17% that's kind of tempo and threshold. So that's zone 3 and zone 4. And then about 3% of our training might be VO2 max. So when we're planning things out, we need to work out, what we're trying to, what adaptation are we trying to get from our training at that particular time. Are we training for a 5K where we're looking at an event that's, maybe 4 months away, where we're going to do a couple of months of setup first, where we might be doing pretty much 80-20, experimenting with some soft VO2 max sessions within that 3%, just to get the body used to running at those intensities. And then in the final sort of 8 weeks leading up to maybe a 5K time trial, we might change that where it's more like 60-40, where we're putting a bit more sort of, we're bridging the gap a bit more with some tempo and threshold, and then increasing, to the VO2 max to probably, I'd probably say 4 workouts in a 3-week block, maybe for VO2 max, depending on that runner and depending on the history. So one of the challenges is actually working out how much we have either done in the past or we're doing in the training zones once we've set them. Many people know that I'm a big fan of training peaks. I'm going to pop a little image in the comments below, which is just my time in zones over the last 6 months. So I can just see that at a glance and make sure that reflects what plan I actually had. The other thing that we can do is just sort of check in on the training plan that we're doing, maybe look at the next 4 weeks of it and just spend, it might take an hour or something like that to just kind of work out the intensities and what the plan is trying to drive at that time. So we might look at kind of, tempo, so we can still talk in like 2 to 3 sentences, look how much of that there is per week and work it out as a percentage of your weekly volume, and just see if it's somewhere near for the time of your training that you're in, whether you're in a base building phase, a race specific phase, or a recovery phase. And this is where sometimes a little bit of guidance from a coach is useful, because each individual will require different things, even if they're training for the same event. But we can do that kind of roughing it out and making sure that over a 12-month period, about half our training, about 80% of our training is below lactate threshold and about 20% is above. And the 80% that's below lactate threshold, about half of that is in zone 1 and about half of that is in zone 2. So I hope that makes some sort of sense. This is kind of the topic of this video is how to train. Obviously, so I've been quite general. So please, pop your individual circumstance and question in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And for now, happy running.